Hello. Hi. We're going to present a more complete description of the Six Worlds of Rebirth. I did a very brief one to accommodate the folks that only want to watch one clip, but at this point we'll go into more length to the different worlds and so on. A couple of comments. First of all, I guess to explain the topic in case you're not familiar. I had a comment the other day, someone, when in response to the short version of the Bardo, that this person had never heard of this rendition. And of course, if you are more involved with the insight meditation, with the Theravada style of practice. In the Theravada, the teachings of the Bardo do not exist. These are termas, or discovered teachings by Guru Rinpoche and others that are revealed in the Tibetan tradition. So you would not have, even in Zen, even though it's Mahayana, the greater vehicle, the Bardos are not described, even though the Six Worlds of Rebirth are, all the way from the original teachings, the original foundational teachings of the Theravada to Vajrayana, of course. What are these? Well, what is said is that this human world that you and I find ourselves in right now is just one of six possible realms of rebirth. Realms or kingdoms or worlds or universes. I tend to think of them as universes, not just a world. When we say the word world, we think maybe of the Earth, one planet, but actually I think of it more as complete universes, like the same way that when I think of the Pure Lands where the Buddhas dwell, each Buddha has a Pure Land. It's not just a land, it's a whole universe. So in any case, whatever the objective facts are, we are said to be reborn in one of these six loka, six worlds, six locations, I guess. The human world, which you and I are participating in, sharing right now, being one of them. Of course, in any case, I'll continue. I have to keep myself from digressing here and there and everywhere. I'm not holding an outline. I have some notes on the six worlds, though, so I can convey some, factual information. In any case, these worlds are six, we said again. It'd be the God or pleasure being world, the Asura or jealous being or Titan world, the human world, the animal world, the hunger ghost or Preta world, and finally the hell worlds, hells. So in Buddhism, yes friends, there is a hell, and there are some that are pretty nasty. The difference is though, it's temporary. They're all temporary. They're still all a mirage, an illusion, just as the human world is. So they're temporary. They're not a punishment. They're a consequence of karma. But it kind of washes out. I mean, if you in a certain situation. So looking at these six worlds, the idea is that depending on my karma, think of me as, or yourself, anybody. I have a mountain of positive karma over here. Think of a big mountain, big peak of positive karma, positive seeds, and then a mountain of negative karma, negative seeds. So it's kind of like a balancing act. Obviously, one gets used up a little, the other one picks up more, then it ripens, and to be born in the human world is the ripening of very good karma. So what we would say is take that and in advisement, however you want to relate to it. Now, when I first started, but studying these worlds, a lot of this, or some of this, comes from medieval, you might say medieval Buddhist cosmology. And one of the fortunate things about Buddhism is that you don't have to take any of this as an article of faith that you have to believe in. This is not, it's good to know. You should know if you're involved, especially in Tibetan Buddhism, so that you can relate to what's being said to you understand the implications of some of that said. But as I said, you have to test it with your experience and so on. Although, how do we test the existence of these worlds without experience? Of course, a lot of people with a Western bias, are very skeptical. And they're also reacting to, maybe Christianity or Islam, or talk about the hells and the heavens, and, they don't want to deal with that kind of superstition. So they're rejecting any kind of metaphysical or alternative kind of existence. But again, you're free to do that. You can interpret it symbolically, psychologically, which has a validity, and it's one of the ways to apply this understanding. And at other times we'll talk about the Buddha families, the 5 strains of wisdoms and ways of being confused that tie in with these worlds, which I think it's an even more helpful pattern to look at. In any case, how do we know these? Well, we know, first of all, we trust the word of the Buddha. He was correct in all that he said, and he would have no intention to lie to us. Although there are skillful means, provisional teachings that are not, say, completely quote true, but they're designed to bring the person deeper and deeper into the Dharma and into practice. Because after all, it's the fruition of the Dharma that's important, not the form. Fruition being, present awareness, recognition of the nature of mind, and an embodiment of this wisdom mind in the here and now. That's really the important thing. It's like we say, the boat. Buddhism is the boat that takes you to the other shore, the shore of so-called nirvana. And once you got in there, you can ditch the boat. Although we respect and love the Dharma and consider those teachings just like we wouldn't throw away beautiful paintings or wonderful books of poetry or music. In the same way we respect the Dharma for being a wonderful edifice. In any case, let's look at the world. You might say, well, how do we know? Well, a couple of things. We trust the word of the Buddha, one. Another one, there's certain teachers who have the capacity to see into these other worlds. They have very powerful psychic capacities, you might say. Well, the world psychic, it's a little tricky, but clarity of mind. There are some teachers who even teach, people who passed on, who teach sentient beings, not people, because people are humans, but sentient beings in other worlds, the world of the hungry ghosts, the world of the hells. They're able to communicate. And apparently there's hope even in those worlds. For example, Tartan Tulku mentioned his teacher used to teach people who'd passed on. So we take that at its face value. Then there's a tradition called the Delog, which is it's kind of a folk tradition. It's not to be, I think, taken literally or completely as so, but it's fascinating and intriguing. It's a tradition where people have gone into comas. It's connected to, I think, the shamanistic roots in Tibet. Gone into comas and traveled to other worlds. Or traveled to Pure Lands where Chandrezi dwells and Guru Rinpoche dwells, Amitabha dwells, but also to some of the worlds of rebirth. And they've come back also with cautionary tales about, hell and falling into the lower rebirths. So that's another piece of information. The more complete rendering of this picture is in the Abhidharma Kosha by Vasubandhu. And I will tell you that when I read some more complete related to the Abhidharma Kosha, especially the hells, I had a strong negative reaction. Even after years of practice, I felt very repulsed, I guess, by the descriptions of the hells, the horrible sufferings, and I'm afraid that the writer or the presenter had an emphasis on sort of a fundamentalist approach that, this is true, you must believe it's true. Well, in Dharma we don't must believe anything. So we allow ourselves to mature, and, if you can't quite